Hey, what's up? I'm unownshadow. This is Albert. This is Colorado. And this week we did this thing. Pew, 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 pew. Cool B-roll. Pew. Maybe. So I know that I'm a little bit behind everybody else in finally going after and installing the Takigawa SP special meter blah 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 speedometer replacement. I had initially attempted to keep just the stock speedometer and then add on a tachometer, thinking, oh, that'll be alright, it should be enough. But I guess really, is anything ever enough? But even at that time I was contemplating, you know, I'll just swap the whole thing out. But really I kind of like, the main reason I wanted to keep the stupid original stock is because it had little blinking eyes on it. And after a while, function has to beat form. So finally I went ahead, bit the bullet, kind of moved towards this guy. Some of the main reasons for that, I can get rid of the external tachometer. It now has an integrated tachometer. Also along with it, you know, standard speedometer and stuff. Along with that tachometer that I had, the tachometer could read temperatures from an external source, namely a special drain bolt that Takigawa also has, that has an input for a stick thermometer or a stick temperature gauge. So replacing it with this one, it actually also includes all of those pieces, but also all in a single housing. So simplifies the overall layout, the wiring, cleans up the look, makes it a lot smaller footprint, which is pretty nice. Immediately I can tell you that I'm happy with this change. Probably something I should have done before. But you know, honestly, if you're trying to keep the stock look, just adding on the tachometer is good enough. Having that RPM information is important, and I really wish Honda would have had that on these bikes to start with. But how you display it, could have stayed with just the tachometer. But really, having everything all in one is nice. The install was pretty simple. Open up the headlight again, which I just keep seeming to do. Open up the headlight, really taking the headlight bucket off and giving yourself access to all of that makes life so much easier, including releasing the clips on the backs of the wiring and kind of letting that wiring sit loose so that you can really either pull the headlight bucket out or just really move it around. Once you have that out of the way, it's really just taking off the old display. There's only really 2 screws holding it to the bike. I had a little bit extra complication just because I had the tachometer already on there, so I had a couple of extra wires to take off with that. You need to release the housing on the back of the speedometer so that you can get the wiring harness off. But once that's done, I mean, that's off. I should mention, before you do any of that, go in and grab your current mileage, because you're gonna need that. Write it down, make a note of it, do something. Once I had the stock speedometer off of the bike, really what was left was just kind of cleaning up the wiring and kind of getting ready for the actual new speedometer. The Takigawa tachometer that I had put in there, you know, it had a special wiring harness in there that I needed to pull out. Nothing difficult. It just provided it power and a couple of readouts. The positive of already having that installed is that a lot of the sensors I already had in place. There's a wire that you need to run over to the ignition coil so that you can get the current RPMs. Well, I already had that wire ran, and there's a wire that goes under the bike into the special drain plug if you have the special drain plug, and I already had that wired in. So both of those wires were exactly the same, which made it nice because I already had them in the headlight bucket and available. Installing the speedometer is easy. There is a bracket on the speedometer that just needs to be screwed on, and then you know, that connected up to that screwed onto the mount on the bike, and then it's done. So really the install was pretty simple and pretty quick overall. Most of my time was just trying to rewire, or trying to reroute the wiring. The hardest part really is the fact that the headlight bucket is so small and the headlight itself is so big that there's just no space for anything in there. To make it look nice, I really wanted to get the wiring harness from the new speedometer into the headlight bucket, which meant also getting the original wiring harness into the headlight bucket. So I went, released the clips on the wiring harness, kind of fed everything around, and did everything I could to kind of move it all into the headlight bucket. I needed to play a little bit of Tetris to get everything in there, but routing all those wires around, it really kind of worked out. It took a little bit of shoving to make it close, but ultimately it's all in there. So one big difference between the tachometer kit and the speedometer kit is there happens to be English instructions on the Takigawa website. Put a link down below for those instructions, but wow, that was nice to have, because the tachometer kit did not have those, and trying to figure out how to actually configure the new tachometer was very difficult. One of the main things that you do need to set up, even if you don't do anything else, is making sure that you get the odometer set up. So like I said, hopefully you wrote down the original odometer, the original mileage, so that you could then put it into the new speedometer once everything's kind of wired up. It's easy to do, but just need to do it. One thing that I found interesting is that there's two setting options in the menu system on the speedometer for the odometer, and the first one is doing all it shows you is the current number of miles since it's been installed. It's not anything that you can change, it's not any number that you can set, it's just the number of miles that it's found. So you have to go to the next menu, and that's where you need to put in your actual odometer number. It took me a little bit to took me a few tries of moving through the menus to realize that. This bike doesn't have ABS, so that was an easy thing to turn off. One really nice thing comparing this to the tachometer is that you can actually set units on this, so miles per hour, Fahrenheit versus Celsius. You can set either a 12-hour or 24-hour clock. You can set a clock. So you have kind of all that information finally in there in a unit that you might be more used to, depending on where you're from. So I already had the special drain bolt that allows the stick temp sensor to go into, but they also had listed an oil cooler mount, or an oil line mount, which basically just splices into the oil line, and allows you to put that same stick temp sensor into there, but you're reading the kind of the passive temperature of the oil. I put that on order. I didn't realize it existed. I put that on order because I'm interested to kind of put that on there and see how that compares to the A-Racer ultimately. When I did do this install, another piece that I did, I removed the Speedohealer, right after just installing it again, because this speedometer also has built in its own kind of Speedohealer. It's marked tire rotation size, and it's done by percentages. So what you just need to do is, they have a calculation that you can do based on whatever, but I have the sprocket changed, I have the tires changed, so really all I'm doing is kind of playing around with the percentage. I think right now I have it set to 95. It's still a little bit off, 33 on GPS, 34 on GPS, and 38 on the speedometer. So I'll get that dialed in, probably through a little bit of just trial and error. But that'll be nice if I can actually make that work without that extra piece. It's just nice not having too many extra bits on the bike. There is also a gear indicator that's built into this. There's a learning mode. I haven't done that yet. I'll probably do that at some point. Right now I just turned it off. I don't really need that information at the moment. I got 4 gears and hopefully I can figure out where I'm at. But I mean, overall, it's responsive. It looks nice. It gives me the information. Oh, I forgot. It also, you can change the colors, just in case you want to make it match your vehicle or whatever. Though in this light, it's white. At night, it'll look, you know, I think I set it to orange or whatever would match the monkey. But yeah, that's all I have this week. Just wanted to do this install, simplify the overall layout of the speedometer, see how it works, see how it installs. I will get that dialed in. I noticed that it's about 8 miles off. But overall, really happy with this thing. Probably should have done it before. But now I don't have little winking eyes on my dash, which is kind of sad. Hopefully you found something in this video that you like. If you did, you know, like, subscribe, comment, do those things if you like to do those things. In the meantime, hopefully you're having a good day. Thanks for watching. Bye.